Good Sunday evening, high school sports fans. Joe Gillaway with Lingelstown Gazette Sports live from the Orchard Street studio. And this is our high school football week 11 recap show. I'll be joined momentarily by our panel of experts, along with our opening guest, as soon as we're done thanking those responsible for bringing you tonight's show, our Lingelstown Gazette Sports Platinum sponsors. And they are Capital Region Insurance Agency, Payor Apparel, Team PA, AAU Basketball, Ted's Bar and Grill, The Tire Mart, American Legion, Post 272, Crystal Bob at Iron Valley Real Estate, Hoffman Ford, Tonino's Pizza, and Sam Hartley Decking. Thanks to those great local businesses for the continued support of Lingelstown Gazette Sports and our area student athletes. Okay, so I want to thank Penn Live. We thank them every week now because we do use some of their photos, and we're going to use a couple tonight, and we appreciate the opportunity. They have professional photographers on staff, and we appreciate the opportunity to borrow some of their photos every now and then. And here we have our I don't know, this is kind of, we're going to call it a special guest panelist. Coach Ford Chapman, how are you, sir?
Great, buddy.
You okay there?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's get this closer to both of us here.
Who's going to talk the most tonight?
I don't know, probably you, Dave.
Probably four.
Okay. So upcoming as far as next week's coach guest or guest coach, we don't know yet. We're going to see what happens this coming weekend, and we're going to try to bring on a coach that has a successful second round of the playoffs. So our panel tonight is Travis Waters, Terry Clark, Dave Berman, and again, Coach Ford Chapman is sitting in as a guest. And let's get right to it. We have our opening guest is Coach Glen McNamee. Coach, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me. Always a pleasure.
You know, you were going to be asked to come on this show one way or the other, but we thought it might be as like a guest panelist, like Coach Chapman's doing. I was going to wait until the season was over and see if you wanted to sit in with us. Well, guess what? Best laid plans, right?
That's right.
It didn't work out that way.
I would have been happy to do that.
I know you would have.
It's nice to be in this position.
So, but what's it like? Let's just say after the last handful of years, you guys haven't been in the postseason, I don't think, since 2019, preparing for Week 12. Does that have a nice ring to it, Coach?
It sure does. Like I said, I would have been happy to be a panelist in that regard, but it is nice to still be playing and proud of our kids. Looking forward to this coming week.
Yeah, it's I was looking over the your schedule this year. You played out of your 10 regular season games, you played 6 teams that qualified for the playoffs, 4 teams that are currently in the top 10 of the state, 3 6A teams and 1 5A team. So it hasn't been an easy path, has it?
No, but for many, many years we've been known to have a very tough. Well, we're in the Mid-Penn Commonwealth for starters, and we've often had some very tough non-conference games. It's something we've always embraced, and this year was no different.
So first win over Cumberland Valley. I got to say this because it's the truth. It's accurate. First win over rival Cumberland Valley in 5 seasons, and this is unbelievable. First postseason win over CV ever. Now a lot of that has to do with you didn't play them a lot in the postseason too, but I mean they've just been one of those programs over the decades that they've won a lot of games, and they're not going to make it easy for you to beat them in the postseason. With those two things in mind, how emotional was that for you and your staff when the clock went to all zeros to just know that you finally got that win? Now it's just a win like any other one in a lot of respects, but to be able to tough that out and grind and get that win, how'd that feel, Coach?
Well, CD-CV is a big rivalry game. It's very well known for its long history and so many close games over the years. And I know Coach Chapman can speak to this. He's been a part of it on both sides. And to do it, obviously, on the road in the playoffs and in the manner in which we did it with the comeback and the last-second touchdown, when you roll that all together, it was very special. And, speaking of the history, we have coaches on staff that were part of some of those playoff losses to Cumberland Valley. So it was even more special to them individually and us collectively.
Well, the one loss could warrant its own show, so we won't get into that. 7 overtimes. Yeah.
That's true.
So let me turn it over to Dave Berman. He's been here for about 15, 20 minutes now. He got in first. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, you're taking on the Harrisburg Cougars, and they are athletic as heck. You guys have athletes too, but how do you? Can you slow the game down? Can you go? A lot of teams down here, like Chester, had to deal with it the other day with Marple Newtown. Run the ball, 3-4 yards. Keep trying to draw them all sides. It takes unbelievable discipline and staying away from penalties. But basically, what is your game plan going to be?
Yeah, well, as we were saying before the show, they have a lot of tremendous athletes, and it's at all the positions. They really do have talent spread across the field, offense, defense, special teams, each of the units within their offense and defense. So it's an enormous challenge. They're undefeated for a reason, and it's well earned. So for us, we've always focused on ourselves and just trying to get better each week. We always, each year, set that as our biggest goal. Get better each week, play our best football at the end. It sounds cliche, but it's a lot easier said than done. There's so many obstacles along the way. It takes a lot of resilience and grit and hard work. So this week, we want to continue with that goal and just get better this week, be the very best versions of ourselves when we go to Severance Field on Saturday.
Terry Clark.
Yeah, sorry, I had to unmute myself. Coach, first and foremost, congrats on the win. As you mentioned earlier,
Thank you.
Beating Cumberland Valley is a big deal for Central Dauphin in itself because it's a rivalry game. With that being said, coming towards the end of the season, you ended your regular season with a win, a big win over Chambersburg. Coincidentally, knocked them out of the district playoffs, and you guys were able to get in, so that helped with that. And then you just knocked off Cumberland Valley, who I would say probably a lot of people probably thought Cumberland Valley was going to walk away with a win, but you guys were able to come out on top. With that being said, once the regular season ends, heading into a playoff game, what is the preparation like? Is there any differences from the regular season as opposed to the postseason?
No, that's a very good question. And you're right. These last couple weeks, they've both been good quality wins. And that is kind of evidence of what I talked about earlier about getting better each week and playing your best football at the end. And in week 10 and first week of the playoffs, we feel like it is our best football that we've played all year. So credit to our kids for that. When you get into the playoffs, I think everybody might have their own approach. One of the things you do have to consider when you're playing 6A football and the kind of schedule that Joe described, where do you stand in terms of your health? You got injuries, your guys being banged up. And that's something I think always has to be a consideration when you get to this part of the year.
All right, Travis Waters.
Hey, Coach, congratulations again on the playoff win. And I know my question is kind of similar to some of the other questions, but you lost to Cumberland Valley the first time you played them over the season. The game was close first half. They kind of pulled away in the second half. You come back and beat them in a defensive struggle. Next game is Harrisburg. You played them already. You lost them. Is the message to the team? What's the message to the team when you're playing a team for the second time and you lost to them the first time?
No, yeah, that's a very good question. And, when you play in the Mid-Penn Commonwealth, there's a lot of teams that often do make the playoffs. So the chances of having those rematches probably greater than maybe in some other leagues. Mm-hmm. And one of the things about rematches is you have a great resource in the sense that you have the film from the first game. And, you're always scouting as coaches, as players. You try to get to know your opponent as best you can. But in those instances, you already got to see them up close and personal. Of course, it goes both ways. They got to see us in the same manner. But that is something that makes rematches unique when it comes to scouting. You've already got to play them, and you got the film of that game to really study and learn from.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to read these. We'd like to read these comments as they come in. Kirby Lentz said, "Congratulations, Coach. Great win for CD. He's a big supporter of your program." And then Gary Jones, my best friend in college, one of my best friends for sure. He wanted to shout out Chappie Moo. He knew Coach Chapman from college. And he also said, "Hey, Joe, Terry, Travis, Dave, what's up?" So Thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. All right, so our guest panelist is up now. Next question, Coach Ford Chapman.
Well, I don't necessarily have a question. I would like Coach Mack to comment on this, though. Watching Harrisburg, Coach Mack, when all the other city schools, for the most part, have been struggling, McCaskey, in District 3, I'm talking about, Reading, York, Lebanon, not the same level that all those teams were at one point. And yet Harrisburg has won 4 consecutive district titles, which matches Cumberland Valley, the only other team at the top level in District 3 that has done that. You've been the head coach since 2006 and have battle after battle against the Cougars. And to me, it's 2 coaches that have exerted their philosophy and their will with a work ethic, a commitment to excellence, if you will, on both these programs, both Central Dauphin and Harrisburg. And to me, it's very interesting to see both of you meeting in the playoffs at Severance Field next week.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of mutual respect with both teams and programs and staffs, especially after many, many games against each other, including playoff games. There's been some really good matchups over the years, and I know you've seen many of them. You were part of some of them. And when that happens over the course of time, it does build up a strong rivalry and I think a pretty strong mutual respect for each other. And you're right. They've had some really good success lately, well earned. And that makes it a great opportunity for us that we're looking forward to this week.
Kind of what high school football should be all about. And it is all about when it's being done properly, I think. How about Dave Berman? Oh, go ahead, Coach. I don't mean to cut you off.
Well, I was just going to say, when it happens over the course of time, more than just a year or two, there's something special about that, and it does. It often builds up a mutual respect there, which I think in and of itself can enhance that rivalry.
Yep. Dave Berman.
Again, Coach. I know you don't want to let everything out of the bag here, but what's your game plan? Are you besides going out and battling your tails off?
Yeah, well, I could tell you it's a Saturday game, so it does give us the extra day, and we're going to need every bit of that to try to get ourselves ready here for this one in terms of game planning and practicing and all that goes into the preparation for a playoff game like this. So I'm not dodging the question. We have a lot of really good, dedicated coaches that have been with us for a long time. Collectively, it's over 225 years of coaching experience at Central Dauphin between us. And I look forward to hearing more of their thoughts about the week and seeing how this takes shape over the next coming days.
Including the pride of Mifflin County, Marshall Fisher.
That's right. 17 years for him. He's one of them that's been there for a while, and it's great having Coach Fisher along with the rest.
Terry.
Throw that in.
That's right.
I would say the only question I have left to ask, can you talk a little bit about your players or your key players, or who has made big contributions throughout the season for your team?
Well, let me just say collectively as a group, the one thing that jumps out is their resilience. Like I said, as Joe pointed out, very tough schedule this year. And, obviously we didn't have success on the scoreboard in all those games this year. And that's adversity in and of itself. And sometimes that can lead to, self-doubt or, maybe coming apart as a team, losing hope. Our guys didn't do that. Like I said, they kept getting better, playing their best football at the end of the year. And there's a lot to be said for that. And I'm really proud of them for that. And then in the game itself against Cumberland Valley, they showed tremendous resilience, right to the very end with that drive, scoring with 3 seconds left, against a team like Cumberland Valley on the road. So that's not necessarily an easy thing to do, and they did it. So for me, my mind goes to the collective and the resilience that they were able to demonstrate. A unique level of resilience, I think, both during the season and in that game itself.
That was one of the better 2-yard touchdown runs I've ever seen. I mean, ever.
Yeah, that was a tough run.
Everything there. He picked
it was
perfect time to kind of head upfield or to stop trying to go around the. They had him kind of pinned in there, and he just picked the perfect, found a little spot. And I mean, I'm kind of struggling to explain it. I would encourage everybody who's watching now that did not see it to just go on. It's somewhere on Penn Live. It was a great 2-yard run.
Very physical, tough finish to cross that goal line from a very physical, tough player, Isaac Hodgson.
Right.
Mark Lebo's had a great year, Coach. Any relation to Jeff Lebo?
I don't believe so, but that last drive, he did a really nice job, working the clock, good management there. He ran the football himself. He did it all, and it was great to see that. Again, great resilience on his part throughout this season and in that game itself, right up to the very, very end.
I've been saying all year. I mean, he kind of is football or quarterback kind of out of necessity. Is that right? Just one of those years that you needed somebody to step up, somebody that had kind of like the acumen and wherewithal to what I'm saying is he hasn't been a quarterback over the years. Is that correct?
His junior year, we used him as a wildcat quarterback, so he got some experience there.
Right.
But yeah, this really is his first year full time in that position, and he's grown just as the team has grown. Kind of a reflection of our season and our team, the way he's gotten better as the year has gone on, and it really culminated there with that last drive, kind of put an exclamation point on that progress.
I watch your games, just about every one of them, and I try to tell people, I mean, he'll have 71 yards rushing and 94 yards passing, and I try to explain how valuable he was to his team and to the win, or even if you lose a close game. And it's hard to when you don't have stats to back it up, but I think he's just a football player, I think he just knows how to grind, and he's physical, and he doesn't avoid contact.
No, and he's versatile, and what you just said speaks to that. He's been a linebacker. His junior year, he had over 80 tackles. He's been a running back for us. He's been a receiver for us. So he has a lot of versatility, and the way he plays the position, I think, shows that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your Max Preps guy he's doing a great job. Your stat guy, you have all your stats up to date, and us media guys love it.
He's the best.
Shout out to Greg Landis. He's been with us for 15 years, and that's another guy that's been in our program.
Right,
very loyal to CD football. We appreciate it.
Dave Berman, to answer your question, this Lebo, the quarterback at Central Dauphin, is relative to Jeff Lebo, just not the Jeff Lebo from Carlisle, Jeff Lebo from Middletown. They both graduated in '85 from high school.
Jeff Lebo, right?
Jeff Lebo. You'll know his daughter. Jeff Lebo I'm referring to from Middletown. His daughter's the Mechanicsburg goalkeeper and basketball center. Yes.
Really, really good.
Good athlete, yes.
How do you know all this for?
Hey, that guy that sent in the comment that he went to college with Coach Chap, I'd like to hear some college stories about that guy.
Man.
That's where I met Coach Chap. And I think it was Gary. We called him Smoke. I think that's who took me over to his. Was it Lac Cove?
Lac Cove.
And
Jeff Lebo from Middletown and I were roommates our sophomore year in Lac Cove Hall. Yes, indeed.
Off the air, I might have to get some stories from you, Joe.
Jeff Lebo from Carlisle. His sister would come over to Lac Cove from time to time. Yes, it works the whole gamut there.
Travis, I don't know. Can you top all this? Do you have anything to?
Well, I can tell you that I spent 3 semesters at Shippensburg, so I remember sitting in the cafeteria with all the newspapers holding court, talking about
holding court.
He had a 2-yard run in 1972. Their name, what number they were, what yard line they were on. So
that's not a surprise at all.
So my father and Ford's father, we played together. Ford's dad was the quarterback, and my dad was one of their halfbacks at
the
wing T at John
Harris.
John Harris. Yeah,
John Harris. Yep,
absolutely. Yeah. So Coach, actually, I have a question. It's not necessarily about the playoff game this week. It's something we've been talking about since last year. I went to Susquehanna Township, and I see a demographic shift in the students that we have. I see it in Cumberland Valley. I think I see it in Central Dauphin. This isn't a negative thing. It's just natural to have demographic shifts. Do you think the demographic shifts in the Central Dauphin School District have affected, maybe the enthusiasm from the students as far as playing football, or maybe seeing less students play football because of that?
Well, this year we have over 30 seniors on the team. It's the most we've ever had, and a lot of them have been in the program 4 years. And that's another thing that made Friday night a really special win, because we've been working with these guys, for quite some time, and to see it culminate, with that win in the playoffs against our rival, was, like I said, made it even more special of a moment. And especially in a team sport like football, one of the great things, I'm biased, but I think it's the greatest of all team sports in the way that the game has to be played. And it's awesome in that context how it brings people together of all walks of life, all different personalities. And believe me, just like all the teams, we got a lot of personalities. And to see that come together in a moment like that last drive, when the chips were down and scoring with just a couple seconds left, it doesn't get much better than that. And the lessons that are wrapped up in all of that are invaluable. And that's why I'm a big proponent of the sport and love being a part of it.
Yeah, you and I spoke for about 5-10 minutes yesterday, Coach. And the one thing I did say to you is, isn't it nice to see your players have a chance after, let's just say this year was a struggle, at times, for sure. There's no to have an opportunity to feel some joy, especially the seniors.
Yeah, and like I said, seniors that have been in the program, and so many of them, and like I said, seniors with a wide variety of different personalities, to bring all of that together in that moment, and then to experience the joy that comes with that. That's why you do it, and you work through the adversity. But it's only for those that are willing to work through the adversity and come through it on the other side that get those rewards and get those memories and experiences.
Lindley Schiller says, yay, class of 2026, definitely a special group.
Yeah, it is. And it's neat to see how they are, with each other on and off the field. And I think that made Friday even better too. I think it enhanced the level of joy because of the way they are with each other. And looking forward to having another week with them. That's one of the things about winning the playoffs is you get to keep the guys together, keep the team together.
Week 12. Wow. Anybody else have anything for Coach Glen McNamee? 20th years head coach Glen McNamee.
Great job, Coach. And someday I can see you doing some broadcasting.
He's pretty good, isn't
he? Just being on this show alone is I could check it off my bucket list to be on the show with broadcasters like you and journalists like you.
We're kind of a ragtag group, Coach. We have fun, though. We enjoy one another's company, and we somehow get it done.
Yes, you do. And I really appreciate having me on, and it's always fun.
We wish you well.
Jersey.
Go out there, just play as hard as you can, and hopefully everybody stays healthy and has fun. And we wish both teams well, and it's going to be a Mid-Penn Commonwealth team that moves on, and that's always cool too. So, Coach, thank you so much.
Thanks again for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Have a good evening.
Take care.
See ya.
All right. So that was Coach Glen McNamee. Something, Coach Chapman, we're in our 10th year with Linglestown Gazette Sports. Every time I've asked him to do something, he's done it for 10 years now. He was at the very first show we ever did at Ted's Bar and Grill. But you know what? So was Cal Everett, Joe Heaton, Jeff Wechter. We had every coach in the area there. And that's what makes it special that we have the opportunity to do this. So go ahead, Coach.
I just have a quick stat for you, trivia question, if you will.
Let's do it.
All right. Based on what you guys were saying earlier, the Mid-Penn Commonwealth, then known originally starting in the fall of 1982 when the Mid-Penn started, was Mid-Penn Division I, and eventually went to the Commonwealth. We're talking about the same thing, though. The top level, which back then had Steel High in it, along with the other teams that are currently in it, not counting, obviously, Altoona and State College. So everybody played everybody starting in 1982, obviously, because you played everybody in your division. What was the last team of those 9 schools to finally beat another team at least once? So everybody had beaten everybody else at least one time. What was the final team to ever beat another team in the Mid-Penn Commonwealth? I hope I can understand.
I have a guess, but I'm going to let. Does anybody else want to throw one in?
I'm not going to say. I can't say. I know Steel High and Cumberland Valley played the first championship, right? 82. So I doubt it's going to be them.
It's going to
Right,
be
it
a team
can't
that
be
never
Steel-
beat anybody
It
else.
can't be Steel High because Steel High. It can't be Steel High, who was the final team to finally miss it, because they went undefeated the first year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yes,
I know it
Steel
can't be
High
Steel
beat
High,
everybody
Cumberland
the
Valley.
first until they lost the Cumberland Valley district final that year. But
Yeah.
Steel High went through the regular season unbeaten, so they beat everybody. It
I'm
could
gonna
be
eliminate
Steel High.
Carlisle. I'm gonna eliminate Carlisle because I'm just thinking they had to beat everybody when they had the Owens and Lee Woodall and those guys.
Chambersburg.
So wait, what, Travis? What's your guess? Which team beating which team finally?
Chambersburg beating McDevitt.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, not a bad thought. Chambersburg. I'm going off the top of my head here. Chambersburg and McDevitt. I think Chambersburg may have beaten McDevitt that first year, and McDevitt won the Mid-Penn next year. Chambersburg did not, although Chambersburg beat Steel High. That's not it. But Chambersburg, I know, beat McDevitt in 89. Chambersburg went undefeated in 89 in the regular season, beat everybody.
And I'm sure you know that.
Second year.
Yeah.
so it's not Chambersburg.
It's not Cedar Cliff. It's not Cedar Cliff.
Yeah, Cedar Cliff is an original.
You might have to.
Cedar Cliff did not. Cumberland Valley beat Cedar Cliff 82, 83, 84, 85,
Yeah.
86, 87. The last game, Cedar Cliff was undefeated, beat them 21 others. But then Cedar Cliff beat Cumberland Valley 2-0 in the district final, and then beat them again in 88 and 89, 3 years in a row.
Wow.
But yeah, so it's not Cedar Cliff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, it's not Cedar Cliff. I didn't know all that, but I knew
There it
they
is.
beat them
That's-
sometimes.
Referring back to what you guys were talking about, that's the first time Central Dauphin ever beat CV in a playoff game. Cumberland Valley beat Central Dauphin the first 14 seasons. 1996 regular season at Cumberland Valley in a little bit of a rain game. Ronnie Davis's last year, the first time Central Dauphin ever made the playoffs, because back then only 4 teams got in.
Right.
CD beat CV, yes, in 96 for the first time ever. And some of those games prior to that were pretty close. It wasn't that Central Dauphin was terrible in all those years by any means. But, yeah, so Central Dauphin, and then since then it's been back and forth.
That's a hard question. This is a just throwing it out there. CD East beating Cumberland Valley.
CD East actually beat Cumberland Valley the second year of the Mid-Penn, 1983.
Wow.
We have the answer. It's Central Dauphin and Cumberland Valley, 14 times.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying. Okay,
Yes,
I got
yes,
it.
yes.
I know who the
It took to
Dauphin
the
was.
15th meeting. It took to the 15th meeting for Central Dauphin to beat Cumberland Valley, yes.
George Chomp, right?
Chomp was there the next year in 97.
Wolf?
It was, I
I
said,
thought
it
you were
was,
talking recent.
it was Ronnie Davis
Oh,
was
Ron
the
Davis,
coach
Ron Davis.
against Tim Rimfel. Yes.
Okay, so here we go, guys. We're going to do something a little bit differently. This is what we call outside the lines, and it's kind of housekeeping stuff. And I was doing some preparation, and I ran into some really odd nicknames. Okay, some odd nicknames and mascots. The first one was Washington beat Beaver Falls. That's kind of immaterial as part of this this question, but Washington's nickname,
Yeah, I knew that.
the Prexies.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Does anybody know what a Prexie is?
I don't know, but 84, you remember one of the greatest players ever at Washington was Brian Davis.
So
Yes.
their nickname,
Went to Pitt, right? Went to Pitt. Yeah.
a Prexie, is a president, especially the president of a college or society. So just one of the odder nicknames I've ever seen. And then how about this one? Dave, you might know this one. Again, it's not so important the outcome of the game, but Haverford High. They lost to Council Rock South.
They're the Fords. Okay.
Okay, do you want to know why they're the Fords? What that means?
The car.
Close enough.
Ah.
That's a 1927 Ford Model A. Okay. It is named after the men who designed that car. So that's a really odd.
Oh, how about it?
Yeah. It's not named after the car itself. It's named after the men who were behind probably the engineers or whoever drew up the car, whoever invented the inventors of the car. So just some odd stuff there.
And you know what? Haverford School of the Interact in Haverford, they're also the Fords.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. So here's another one, and then we'll get into talking about football. Unbeaten Easton advances to with 900th win in program history. That's a lot of wins. You have to be around for a long
We
time.
maybe should have said this when Coach Mack was on. A little bit. He knows a lot about Easton.
Yes, he does. So
obviously,
this is updated. As far as I know, I got this from PA Football News, Billy Splain. And if you notice, the wins field's highlighted, and this it has 900 for Easton. So the top 10, they're kind of on Mount Carmel's heels, but Mount Carmel's playing well these days. So you could see at some time in the future that if Easton keeps winning, they may have a chance. But anyway, they're at number 2, followed by Berwick, Steel High, Aliquippa, Jeanette, Newcastle, Ridley, Dunmore, and McKeesport are your top 10. And again, these are probably they have to all be schools kind of rich in tradition and been around a long time. So let's talk about District 3, the postseason, the playoffs. And the Mid-Penn went 7-5, guys. I think we kind of hope that they do a little more winning than that. But some of the losses were Mid-Penn team beating Mid-Penn team. So that's what you're going to get there. The winners were Central Dauphin, Cedar Cliff, Mechanicsburg, Middletown, Trinity, Steel High, and Halifax. And the losers were Cumberland Valley, Redland, Lower Dauphin, Shippensburg, and Big Spring. Let's kind of tip our hat first to Cedar Cliff. We talked last week, guys. They kind of made a splash. They came back. They moved up to 6A a couple years ago, and then they moved up to the Commonwealth, and they really haven't missed a beat. They beat Cedar Crest 35-6. So they put themselves kind of in the middle of the pack in the Commonwealth, and now have won a Class 6A postseason game. So they're going to play Central York next week. And then on the other side, I'm gonna shout out and give credit to Eric Epler for this one. In a good old-fashioned tractor pull, Central Dauphin 7, Cumberland Valley 6. We touched on that a little bit earlier too. And I don't know if anybody else watched that game. Did anybody watch that?
Not live, no.
The odd part about it was, or what was interesting was, Cumberland Valley. Did you watch it, Coach?
I went to the game. Yeah.
Okay, you were at the game. They scored early, relatively early, and then Central Dauphin scored with 3 seconds left.
Before you go any further,
yes, go ahead.
Cumberland Valley's kicker is out.
Oh.
So they put an offensive lineman, I think it was number 51. He was in a kicker. So he made good contact with the kick. It just went wide for the extra point. And then in the third quarter, Central Dauphin drove the length of the field, shoot a ton of clock, and then got held on 4th and goal from the 2. And then Cumberland Valley, it may have been that possession or the next possession. Cumberland had a great drive of themselves. They get down for like a 33, 34-yard field goal. Same kicker, the lineman, I don't know his name offhand, and he kicked it wide left. Got some good foot on it. Was definitely long enough, but wide left. And then then Central Dauphin drove the distance to win the ball game.
We all text together on Friday nights, and I texted these guys. I said Central Dauphin's 1st and goal at the 5, okay, in the third quarter there. And then when they came away, they didn't get anything. They lost the ball. I said that could do it right there, because that could be disheartening.
But, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
That's tough.
I was thinking the same potential thing as I was right down on the end zone watching from the end zone. And I was like, yeah, this could be tough to overcome after that. Yeah, no doubt.
So I think two similar teams. We've seen better Central Dauphin and Cumberland Valley teams, but again, I mean, Central Dauphin right now, they could be the 6th best team in District 3, and that's out of 22 teams. I'd have to put Cumberland Valley or Cedar Cliff ahead of them, of course, the top 4. But right now they're in a position where, and they're going to have a hard time this Saturday. We know that, but they're in a position where they earned where they are for sure. They basically, I think Chambersburg is kind of like a playoff game. If you're a coach, you have to prepare for that like it's a postseason game. So they're basically in their 3rd postseason game, at least in their minds, the mentality that they've carried for the last couple weeks. So let's talk about or just address that. It will be Central York, Cedar Cliff, Wilson, York William Penn, Harrisburg, Central Dauphin, Manheim Township, Hempfield. I like the top 4 seeds. I mean, we don't sit here and make predictions too often at all. I just think that we do say almost week in and week out that there are 2 four clearly better teams in 6A, and they're the four. Anybody see any upsets?
No, I don't see any upsets happening this weekend. I do think I would agree with you that I think that the top four teams, there's a good separation between those four. I will say this about Cedar Cliff though, and I was, I wasn't expecting. I was not surprised Cedar Cliff won. I was surprised they won by that much, especially after they kind of laid an egg against Cumberland Valley the last game of the season.
Yeah, they did.
Well, I was at the game the last game of the year, and Cumberland Valley really poured it on the second half and did very well. But when Hal, they're basically their bread and butter, Landon Hal. When Landon Hal went out with an injury and was out the whole part of the second quarter, the whole second half, it was a totally different ball game. And Cumberland Valley really poured it on. And I was concerned that Cedar Cliff would not be able to rebound after losing him for the first round playoff game, and they sure did.
Yeah, I want to say this about Cedar Cliff. Cedar Cliff can score points. Cedar Cliff is not bad offensively. They can score points. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say they can score points on anyone, but when you can score points, you have a chance.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, we always say, athletes and coaches and just people that follow sports, we always say it's got to be next up. But when you lose a Landon Hal and Central Dauphin, the first time they played at Cumberland Valley, they had to play a big chunk of the game without Lebo, their quarterback. He got banged up.
That's right.
You were
there.
You were in the
we did the game on TV.
Yeah, and I think he came back in later in the game, but he wasn't really
the same.
No, he wasn't the same. And you can say what you will about next man up, but it's hard to play without your marquee players.
No doubt.
It really is. Okay.
Go ahead. I'm going to cut in real quick.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So in regards to 6A, if you follow the Pennsylvania High School Football Forum on Facebook, you will know that I already posted predictions for 6A and 5A.
I like them all.
Yeah, 6A, I pretty much have it straight chalk, all the top seeds advancing. But if I was to pick a game with the most intrigue, is the game that you guys are talking about, Central York versus Cedar Cliff. And the main reason why is because the big topic on the group on the Facebook forum right now is essentially if Central York was in the Mid-Penn Commonwealth, how would they do? So going back to Cedar Cliff is in the Commonwealth, as we all know now. They're finished in the middle of the pack. So now they get a chance to play them. So We're going to see how that's going to play out in itself. Me personally, Central York should advance. They just have more talent to me personally, but as we all know, come playoff time, you need more than talent to just win these games. It's more than talent. Where Cedar Cliff could have a slight advantage is in the trenches. If they could control the game there, they can make it interesting. Not saying they can do it, but they maybe can make it interesting.
So Terry, I can finally use this here. That's what I would like to see the Commonwealth, and I think there's a chance. I've heard that Central York, it's not out of the conversation that they may join the Mid-Penn Commonwealth someday, like in all sports, because they just dominate so much in all sports, boys and girls down there. So anyway, this is mine. I didn't get this anywhere else. If anybody out there thinks that this is going to happen, but you'd have to knock a couple schools out of the Commonwealth to allow this to happen. And go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, I'd like to add something here. So for years and years since the district playoffs started, the same year the Mid-Penn started, the Mid-Penn Division I, now known as Commonwealth, without a doubt, hands down, was the best football league. And that's, once again, it's back when Steel High was there and put in Wilson, because throughout the 80s and in the 90s, aside from Wilson, nobody else really was up to that level. Then Cedar Crest had a few teams. Lancaster McCaskey had a few good teams. And as time has gone on, the Commonwealth's ability to dominate physically and athletically is still there, but it's not what it once was in comparison to two teams specifically, along with Wilson over the years, but Manheim Township and Central York. Both of those programs in the last decade or so have just really risen in my opinion, up to the level of a Mid-Penn Commonwealth top-notch team.
Absolutely.
And Manheim Township, Harrisburg, hats off to them for finding a way a couple years ago to win that district final game at Manheim Township. But it took everything they had because Township was dominating the first half. And a few turnovers and some grit by the Cougars found a way to win in overtime. We did that game on TV. But what Jerry Yonchek at Central at Manheim Township have done put them at the same level or right at that notch of the teams that we've seen over the years.
Not far off at all.
No.
Like right there. So Jeff DeVos says they would be a top 3 team, Central York. And I would agree with that. I think we're discounting State College by saying that. I think
would say 3-4.
4.
They would be in the top. They would be with the McDevitt's, the Harrisburgs, the
State College.
They would be the 4 best teams.
Agreed.
Now, they would be the hang. I mean, they have the athletes. They definitely have the athletes. That's why I do give them I expect them to beat Cedar Cliff. But to your point, that's when I know we're going back history. It's not ancient history, but you mentioned the Manheim Township, that great Manheim Township team that actually dominated Harrisburg in the first game of the season and dominated them for half of football. It was actually, in my opinion, I was at that game, was Harrisburg's defensive adjustments going to a 3-down line, and they were actually able to still get pressure, but put people on the backside.
One of the better wins I've ever seen in high school football.
You mean the district
Harrisburg
final?
made some serious adjustments.
You got the district final 2 years ago?
Yeah. Harrisburg made some big time adjustments.
Harrisburg needed to get turnovers in that second half, and they did.
They got pressure. They got pressure going to 3-man line. Yep.
And they got an interception, and then they got stuff going. And then once they got it going, they battled and found a way to gut out find a way to win in overtime. And hats off to them. It's just Calvin Everett and his staff, what they have done.
Incredible win.
Incredible, yes.
So that was a good Manheim Township team that could compete with any generation of
They had some very good
Who
athletes.
was their little running back?
Yeah, they were really good.
I forget his name.
Declan?
Declan.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Declan
It was
Clancy.
Declan.
He
Yeah.
was tough. That's Declan Clancy, I think.
Yes.
So let's move on to 5A, guys.
Hey, Joe, can I say something real quick? And
Absolutely, Dave.
congratulations, Fort Chapman, 30th anniversary of your state championship as head coach of Bishop McDevitt.
Oh, thank you very much, Dave. Very kind of you.
Yep. Yeah, that's the area was waiting for a long time for McDevitt to get it done, and you guys got it done.
Well,
That's for
thank you.
sure. Yeah.
Tell you what, we
the
have a lot of good players, and our coaching staff was tied together. The community bought in, and it's a tribute to everybody involved.
All right. So we kind of the Mid-Penn teams kind of took their lumps a little bit in 5A. But again, one of the two had to lose out of Mechanicsburg and Redland. And I think Mechanicsburg's playing good football right now. They've been consistent all year. They kind of had a hiccup against Lower Dauphin. And I say that with respect to Lower Dauphin, but I think Mechanicsburg has been a better team than them all year. But, it was just one Friday night. Things didn't work out for Mechanicsburg. But so they're going to move on, and, they get to play now McDevitt. That's a tough second round game or quarterfinal game. Exeter Township 35-0 over Lower Dauphin. They'll play Conestoga Valley. Warwick beat Shippensburg 23-7. I think Warwick, this is one of their better teams in a while now. Terry, I know you follow a lot of that stuff. Warwick's kind of one of their better teams. They were good about 5, 6, 8 years ago. They were really strong, and then they kind of took a couple years off where they weren't so elite. Are they back to where they had been?
I wouldn't say quite back to where they have been, but
they're back to that.
Yeah, they're going in the right direction.
Right.
Like you said, it's one of the better teams that they've had last few years.
And then Spring Grove over Muhlenberg. So here are the matchups: New Oxford, Spring Grove, Solanco, Warwick, Conestoga Valley, Exeter, and McDevitt, Mechanicsburg. And we are in danger of not having all those teams that qualify in 5A and having none unless Coach Dave Heckert and his guys are able to get it done against McDevitt. And McDevitt, of course, is a Mid-Penn team too, but we're talking about the Keystone. Yeah. We've been talking about Keystone all year because it's been such a roller coaster, and it's fun to talk about. Okay, drum roll, please. Here we go. Class 4A. Susquehanna Township, of course, had a bye. They're going to play Elko next week. Had a chance to talk to Tommy Mealy, the Elko athletic director, who was AD at Bishop McDevitt for years and played on the Coach Chapman's 95 title team. And they're excited down there, Elko. And he knows it's going to be a challenge at Roscoe Warner on Friday night. But then we have Wyomissing, Lampeter, Strasburg. That's a big boy game, but Lampeter, Strasburg guys, I think they're off a tick. They're definitely not what they were last year. And Wyomissing really good. West York and Middletown. Middletown, big win over Eastern York, 21-19, and it's been a nice season for Middletown. We've been talking about them all year. And then Twin Valley, West Perry. That's going to be a tough physical game. We know that, but Twin Valley is just really good. They're just good. We had Brett Myers on last week or the week before, and this seems to be their year. And I'm not saying they don't have anything coming up, but they're poised. I think they're ranked number 1 in the state in 4A in the Penn Live rankings. I think you can really just throw that stuff out the window. That's for people like us to use this to talk. But the point is, Twin Valley is really good. So Susquehanna Township has the opportunity to avoid Twin Valley until the title game, but they'd still have to go through Wyomissing. What do you guys think of this 4A field?
4A is tough. 4A is tough. Susquehanna's coming in undefeated, but they're going to have their work cut out for them. They're going to play. I mean, it should be like this in the playoffs, but they're definitely going to have serious step up in competition, in my opinion. So they're going to have to cut down, just like Harrisburg. They're going to have to cut down on some of the mistakes. They can't get behind the sticks with penalties. I watched them play against Milton Hershey, where they dominated Milton Hershey, but it was a sloppy domination. Where if they played a better team, they would have struggled. So they're going to have to clean a few things up to get through this tough 4A field.
Can I get caught up here on some of these? If I don't, we're going to have so many comments. I like to read as many of these as I can. First of all, Ron Wiley, he was kind of blown away by your memory and your acknowledgement of all those old games. How does he remember all this? LOL. And then Jordan Smith said Central York was my pick to win 6A district, the 6A class. They're very good. LaSalle state champs, might hurt some feelings. Who cares? And then Jordan also said Twin Valley district champs as well. Melvin Britton Sr., do we remember when Steelton was with the big schools? We certainly do. Think it was single A or double A back then. Domination around 86. How long were they?
It was triple A was the highest, 82 in football, 82, 83, 84. And then starting in 85, Michael Owens senior year at Carlisle. Carlisle won the first quad A title, but it was the big class. They went to 4 classifications instead of 3. Yeah. And
maybe Mechanicsburg?
No. Okay. The first year, Cumberland Valley beat Steel High. The second year, Steel High beat Mechanicsburg on a late field goal.
Right.
Crawford field goal, 10-7. The next year, 84, Cumberland Valley beat Hempfield, 31-19. The next year was when Carlisle beat Cumberland Valley in a rematch after Cumberland Valley beat Michael Owens' team 17-15 early in the year. And McDevitt had those great 3 running backs. It was the same year McDevitt won AAA in 85. Yeah. So, but Steel High lost the first title at the top division in 82. But 83, they got their revenge and won the title in 83.
Waters, Jimmy Bryant, Sean Borowski, right?
That was McDevitt in 85.
Yeah, but they said the great 3 running backs.
Yes, those are the
You're
3
not going to see a backfield like that.
And Ricky Waters came. I don't know if any of you guys got to see it, but we announced the McDevitt hosted Cumberland Valley at McDevitt, and they honored the 1985 and 95 teams, but Ricky Waters was back, and we got to interview him in the second quarter. It went great. He did a great job, and just talking about the tradition and the history and whatnot. It was great to see him come back and have a lot of fanfare. And,
I watched it. Yeah.
Well
done. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's kind of, I don't want to say breeze through, but there's not a whole lot to talk about because these fields get smaller and smaller, of course. 3A, how about Trinity? Big win for Trinity. Second-year head coach Kevin Yarnovich. We like him. I think he
does a good job.
Yeah, I think he does a really good job. And I went back and they hired him, at least Penn Live reported it as they hired him as an interim coach. And I remember thinking, I interviewed him last year. I said, wow, That's kind of have something to have hanging over your shoulder, isn't it? And I think he wasn't interim for too long. I mean, I just think he's a really good coach. And so anyway, nice win for.
Quick trivia question: we're switching sports? It's basketball. What college basketball coach was an interim coach, and they had to give him the title of head, pun intended? They had to give him the title as head coach.
Oh,
For who?
was it Indiana? Who?
It would have to be somebody that
What
probably
was the
won
championship game?
Indiana's a good shot because they lost the national title to Maryland. after
Oh,
Bobby.
Michigan.
There it is.
Fisher.
Oh yeah, Belt Fisher. Yeah,
Steve Fisher.
Yeah,
91,
it would have been 89.
89. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Steve Fisher.
Yeah.
But
I had no idea. None.
Was 6-0. Steve Fisher's head coaching job. He was 6-0 at one point in his career as a head coach, and he won the national title. They were all 6 March Madness games.
That's a great question.
Beat Seton Hall in overtime.
That's a great question there. Okay, so Trinity's going to play Anvil Cleona, the 2 seed. I don't know much about Anvil Cleona. That's a Lancaster, Lebanon, small school, so we don't really talk about them much at all. And then Berks Catholic back on the map. They have Bermudian Springs by virtue of Bermudian Springs 25-24 win over Big Spring. So that's another one of the mid-pen teams that went down. Big Spring.
They got a transfer. Kamara's son from Reading. You know, he transferred from Reading High School to Berks Catholic.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Playing basketball and football.
Okay. All right. That can't hurt. That's for sure.
Dad was let go from Reading and replaced by Perez.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Can I cut in real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
In this bracket, Berks Catholic. A lot of people seem to think that they're going to win this bracket. I think they have a good shot. But if I had my pick, I think Trinity. I really do. I like what they've done. I think they're tough. They play hard-nosed football. So it should be interesting. Obviously, they got to take care of Anvil Cleona, and Berks Catholic has to take care of business as well for them to meet up. So we'll see.
You know, I know that I think, Travis, you were on the sideline, I think, for the Trinity Susquehanna Township game, right?
Yes.
And I watched the whole thing. I don't think Susquehanna Township was ever in a whole lot of danger of losing the game, but they never were able to kind of look over their shoulder or put Trinity in the rearview mirror either. Mm-hmm. So that's a testament to the quality of team that Trinity has, I think. Especially
when you watch it, at no time did you think it was kind of like the Cumberland Valley Harrisburg game where, you know, Harrisburg's not playing well. So it's going to be playing well. But you knew they were going to pull it out. But that's kind of what I'm talking about where, you know.
Well, Kamara, back to him and Berks Catholic, what a pickup that is. He has run for 701 yards. He's only a junior and 7 touchdowns. So what a pick. You know, that's a tough loss for Reading, but they really strong. He really would have helped the Reading football program.
And then one of my favorite coaches, Snip Esterly from Berks Catholic basketball, will have an opportunity to coach him also. So that's exciting for them.
So real quick, so Kevin Yarnovich got his coaching started at Still High.
Yes, he did.
He was an assistant under John Beck at
offensive line, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think so.
So I say it again.
Offensive line, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. All right. So speaking of Steel High, 46-22 over Columbia. This looks like, man, I don't like to say stuff like this, but I'm going to. This kind of looks like a cakewalk for Steel High. They have Halifax, who they beat pretty good the first time around. I forgot to write down the score, but it was by enough that it doesn't look like in the course of weeks or a month or so that Halifax is going to be able to kind of turn that whole thing around. Terry, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah. The only thing I will say is I'll give Halifax a little bit of love here.
Yeah. Sure.
They are a couple, maybe 2 years removed from only having 17 roster players. So to be looking at an 8-3 record, playing for opportunity to win a district title, that's phenomenal. So
that's phenomenal.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Terry, you're one of the top freaking analysts or color guys in the state, man. That's the kind of point that a professional makes right there. Yeah.
Actually, no, that's an old school matchup because back in the late 90s, early 2000s, Still High and Halifax used to hook up in basketball and football in the playoffs.
No, they have good sports up there. I just think Still High is really good. I think they're a
Oh,
really
yeah,
good
absolutely.
team. And I only saw him play, I think, 2 games this year. I saw him once in person at Roscoe Warner, and we know what happened there. They stuck with Susquehanna Township for the better part of 3 quarters. Unless something crazy happens, and I kind of jotted this down to Coach Chapman earlier, the 3 things you want to try to do, and these are kind of cookie cutter, everybody knows, but if you're a decided underdog, you got to protect the ball, no bad penalties, and play field position. And if Halifax can do a little bit of that,
And the other side of that, let's add, if you're a favorite and you don't protect the ball well enough, that's where upsets can happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Hey, Joe, you want to talk about District 6, 8?
we are going to the last thing I want to say is 1A, they haven't played yet, but there's only 2 teams, the Lone Catholic and York Catholic. That's what we're down to. We said last week there used to be 4, Steel High was down there, and then Fairfield. So there were 4, now they're down to 2. But yeah, let's go statewide now, Dave. Why don't you get us started with District 6?
Well, obviously State College had a bye because Altoona opted not to play. So State College will play Erie McDowell, I think, this weekend. Then I think they play Williamsport, should represent, or Wilkes-Barre, the 6 to 4. The District 6, 8, 9, 10 sub-region, regional tournament, 4 teams. It was top seed Hollidaysburg blasting Curtis Martin's alma mater. Remember Curtis Martin?
Absolutely. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Alderdice. Can you imagine Alderdice having a guy like that these days? 69 to 8. And then Mifflin County, I was surprised. We got hammered. We got blasted by DuBois, 48 to 21. So it's DuBois against Hollidaysburg for that district championship, 5A level. And Hollidaysburg beat DuBois a couple of weeks ago, 49-0. I'm looking for
pretty sound. They look like a good team. Like they're well coached. They're disciplined. They didn't have a lot of penalty. They didn't do the stuff that I just read off this piece of paper. They played that kind of game against Mifflin County.
All right, but Hollidaysburg, I think they'll win that district unless I'm on horses.
Yeah,
know,
they're good.
Then the next round, then I'm looking forward to Hollidaysburg state quarterfinal rematch with Roman Catholic. This could be the year.
No. Travis, Terry's laughing somewhat uncontrollably. Travis just had his mouth covered by his hand.
Joe, you saw Hollidaysburg. I mean,
Dave, I love your effort, buddy.
Happen,
I love it, man. We've seen enough of Roman Catholic. Have you seen them at all, Roman Catholic?
I have not.
They're so good.
I saw him play basketball in the Cumberland Valley tip-off tournament when I was in high school, and they brought some serious players. And then after I had graduated, I went back to the game. They played Jeff Lebo and Carlisle played Roman Catholic in the championship. Stevenson was their star player from Notre Dame.
Dallas Comegys.
And Dallas Comegys went to
DePaul,
DePaul, right? DePaul.
Wow, Joe,
listen, I saw Roman Catholic at Temple.
Dallas Comegys. Yeah.
I saw Roman Catholic at Temple. They had the late Eddie Griffin and what's the name? They played Camden, and they had DeJuan Wagner. They had DeJuan Wagner.
Yeah. I was there with you.
Wasn't Dallas Comegys murdered? Didn't he get shot?
I'm not sure.
No, he actually was suicide, I believe. Yeah. Or something like that.
That's not for any other
Camden
show.
High in New Jersey. What's their crowd's chant when you come into their gym?
You want the high, you got the high.
There it is.
That's how you know if you've been there or not.
Listen.
An impressive crew, by
Yes.
the way.
Both my mom and my sister taught in Camden.
Dave Berman, have you ever heard that before? You want the high, you got the high.
Hey, that's what the Chester is. You made a bad mistake. You messed with Chester. And cheerleaders would do our thing there. So
how about it?
I saw Camden High play back in the day when they had Milt Wagner, Kevin Walls, David Thompson. I saw them play against Dunbar when they had Muggsy Bogues and Dave
Early to
Lindsay.
mid
82, 83.
The one in 86, right?
86 Louisville with Never Nervous Purvis Ellison was a freshman.
Right.
Beat Duke.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a basketball show this winter, aren't we?
Oh, there'll be a basketball show. That's for sure. Yeah. Yep. So let's, Dave. I'll give you the opportunity to talk about Chester too while you're hot, while you're warmed up.
10-0. We play at Marple Newtown, who we had struggles with them 3 years ago. We beat them 18-15 first round of the District 1 5-8 tournament. So a rematch, Marple 5-5. They slowed the game down 3 yards, 2 yards. And they just milked the clock. Chester was down 10-7, 4 minutes to go. Chester, too many penalties. They committed, or called for 15 penalties to Marple's 3. And Chester got the ball at the 30-yard line,
even
drove all the way down, and Chester got the win, 15-10.
Yeah, I think some teams. I only watched the fourth quarter and a little bit of the end of the third quarter, and it did look like they were kind of like a little loose on the discipline end.
Well, the kids didn't know what was a penalty. What is a penalty? You're messing with. Okay. I got.
And I know how that can happen. I do know a rough call or two. You can kind of lose sight of. I get that, Dave.
So anyway, give Marple Newtown a lot of credit. They had all these lacrosse guys. Down here, we have lacrosse.
They're physically tough.
Oh, it's crazy down here. So.
All right, so here's the deal with statewide. Only 3 top 10 teams in the entire state lost. That's out of 60 teams. However, 24 teams received byes, so they were idle. So 3 of the 36 teams that did play, and they were, of course, St. Joe's Prep in 6A. They lost by 10 to LaSalle College. So one of those 2 top 10 teams had to lose. General McLean in 4A, they were the number 10 ranked team. They lost by 2. 16-14 to Oil City. And then in 3A, Wyoming area lost big to Scranton Prep, 42-0. Scranton Prep's traditionally a pretty good program, pretty good team. So that's all that fell. There's a lot of really good kind of the blue bloods are remaining. And once we get out of the districts, then as we proceed through districts, more of these teams are going to fall, of course. I mean, it's just a numbers thing. But
also for Coatesville too, so they got a tough game against Perkiomen Valley. They got the W. Coach Ortega, his son's done a great job this year. So this week, Council Rock South. That'll be at Coatesville Friday night. That's going to be a slobber knocker or whatever you guys want to call it.
Anybody else watch St. Joe's Prep in LaSalle? I did too. I watched every snap. I didn't even. I waited till like halftime to get something to eat and go to the bathroom. I love watching those games. I think it was another one that you kind of felt like LaSalle was going to win the game throughout the whole game, but St. Joe's Prep took advantage of a couple. I think it was a fumble on a punt or something like that. Terry, what was that? Jeff DeVos was there. Jeff DeVos is the LaSalle guy. St. Joe's Prep had a couple fortuitous plays or a couple to keep them in the game, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think LaSalle is kind of decidedly better than St. Joe's Prep, but I still think St. Joe's Prep would beat just about any team in the state. They didn't look bad at all.
No, they're still St. Joe's Prep.
They're still St. Joe's Prep.
They're still St. Joe's Prep.
Really good.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I've had LaSalle as my number 1 team all year.
Remember
beginning to end now.
Well, they beat
he was there.
One thing about LaSalle is their balance.
What's that, Travis?
I was saying one thing about LaSalle is one thing that strikes me about LaSalle is their balance. They're so balanced, on offense, where it's really tough.
Yes,
it'd be a tough out for anybody in the state, and you saw what they did to Pittsburgh Central Catholic when they went out there early in the season.
Only lost to Bowman. Go ahead, Terry.
Sorry, not to cut you off,
That's
but
okay. No,
I
you're
wanted
not
to cut in.
off.
I just wanted to say this really quick about LaSalle. Coming into the year, they had a lot of momentum. Their fan base was excited. They said, "Hey, this is the year. We're going to be St. Joe's Prep twice." And they did it.
Mm-hmm.
Now the only thing left for them to do is just win a state title. With that being said, when I was completely sold on LaSalle this year, was watching their game versus Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Travis pointed out how balanced they were. LaSalle, they weren't even really running versus Pittsburgh Central Catholic like that. Part of that is because Pittsburgh Central Catholic's run defense is good. Their defense in general is really good. However, to me, it looked like LaSalle was really, really emphasizing their passing game, trying to get that right, trying to get that to the point where it is now. Like when they're really, really balanced like that, it's going to be hard for teams to be able to prepare for them, let alone stop them.
They're the kind of team where a good coach who has nothing to do with LaSalle, who just watches their game, says, "Wow, that's a good team." You know, you're impressed by every facet of their game, and every facet of like the offense. The line's good. They have really good receivers. The quarterback's sound. I mean, every facet of that team is very good. Any chinks in that armor? I haven't seen it yet. And they lost to Roman, so. And I don't buy into that, you have to lose a game just to kind of wake you up or bring you back to. I don't buy into that at all. But I think that was a kind of the good time to lose, and they lost to a really good team.
Although it can be true.
Yeah,
I know you don't buy it, but it's definitely.
There's no doubt.
It definitely can be true.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be, but it can be for sure. Yeah.
And I will say this: the one thing, Roman was able to take advantage of their pass defense a little bit, but. And then I say the same thing about Pittsburgh Central Catholic is that, you may be able to get some stuff against their pass defense, but you have to hold your offensive line has to hold up first. And I don't know how many public schools offensive line can hold up against their pass rush. It would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to add this. Roman couldn't stop them either. No. They beat them by outscoring them.
It's like 33-30 or something like that.
Yeah, so that shows you
Maybe
there.
Higher.
The only chance this year to beat LaSalle is you have to be able to score. You won't be able to beat them in the 10-7, 14-7 game.
Right. 39-36
You
maybe.
can't.
Yeah.
You got to outscore them.
Yeah. So what a treat that Harrisburg would have. They would have to finish out the season with I guess wins over Central York, Central Catholic, and probably LaSalle. So things are about to start getting real for Harrisburg here soon. Remember, we've been saying like they played such a their first three games were as tough as any other team in the state's first three games. And then they kind of went for a while where they weren't challenged a whole lot, outside of that 21-16 game against Cumberland Valley. But, it's Harrisburg's going to have to prove why they're number one in the state in some of the rankings and that this is one of their most talented teams ever and that, they're willing to or they're able to beat the better teams,
Back in 2016, I thought there was a really good way potentially for District 3 to upset whoever the District 3 team was to upset St. Joe's Prep in the state tournament. That was the year that a few of the players transferred midseason in the District 3 that somehow ended up being allowed. And I'm not mentioning names, but like 3 or 4 players changed schools in the middle of the year were still playing football. I said, whoever they should make a pact at the 6A level. It was Quad A then, I think, at the Quad A level. All 4 Quad A playoff semifinalists, whoever ends up coming out of that, have all the really good players from the other 3 schools transfer to that school. Make an all-star team, have a good week of practice, and you may be able to stay within not getting mercy ruled by St. Joe's Prep by halftime. By the third quarter.
Right. Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll go to 4 classes, all public schools, and 2 non-private, maybe by not next year, but the year after in all sports.
I want to say this, though. What LaSalle just did, though, that's huge for the state. It's huge because everyone, as soon as you say St. Joe's Prep's name,
right.
LaSalle beat them twice. Parity.
I know
we needed.
Dontrell Mitchell, who follows us, big Harrisburg fan. He's elated. He really can smell that state championship now.
Well, I think LaSalle has the best resume. A couple of weeks ago, remember I read the whole thing, and every win they've had, I mean, they just played studs week after week after week, and so they haven't had any. They've had a bunch of quality wins too. St. Joe's Prep joined the Philadelphia Catholic League, joined the PIAA in 2008. St. Joe's Prep really got on the map a few years after that. They have reached, before this season, 11 state championship games in 12 years between 2013 and 2024. Only in 2015, when Central Catholic beat Parkland, did St. Joe's Prep not reach the final. And they've won 9 state championships in those 11 appearances. The only 2 years they didn't win were, of course, Pine Richland and Phil Jerkovic. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah, quarterback. And
Yeah.
Mount Lebanon, right?
And then Mount Lebanon, who everybody said,
Bob Palkos.
and that was kind of like the dream team where these
Those are
kids
generational
they were
teams.
8 years
Yeah.
old. They played together all those years. And I think most people close to like high school football in Pennsylvania kind of felt like Mount Lebanon really was probably going to win that game, and they did. So anyway,
Yeah, their 2 best players on that team right now is currently Navy's backfield.
is that
Yeah,
right?
they were both big 33 players and
Yep.
just hardcore, tough football players.
They're
Not
really good.
superstars by any means, but just all the little things. They dotted the I's and crossed the T's, and were leaders of that big 33 team.
Well, I try not to be a fan of anybody, but I'll tell you what, I've just been impressed with LaSalle all year. I mean, yeah, Captain Obvious, but I just think they're very, very good, and I think they're as good as most of these St. Joe's prep teams. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Let's just say a lot of them.
Dave, do you know who's on that, an assistant now on that staff? He's been around, won a state title as a head coach. He's now on the LaSalle staff.
Schmidt.
Yeah, Mark Schmidt.
Yeah.
Man, these guys are good. Okay, let's move on to our players of the week. I have another podcast I have to start at 8
Mark
o'clock.
Schmidt won the state title at Neshaminy when they upset Woodland Hills and Stevie Breston in the rain at Hershey Stadium.
That's right.
Back when it was a grass field.
I remember watching that game.
Hey,
Okay.
Coach Chap, that's a good call out because that's another reason why LaSalle coming into this year were feeling confident. They knew that they had that guy on the staff now.
How about good point, Terry?
They won a state championship, LaSalle, back in 2009. Beat State College.
Correctamundo. Good call. All right. How about players of the week? And let's.
Joe, I gotta hit the road.
You got to hit the road.
Yeah.
What do
I'm
you got?
losing my voice too. So
Okay. Thanks, Dave. That's the voice of Delco, Dave Berman.
thank
Tell
you, guys.
Fred that we
For the
said
crowd.
hello.
See you 4. Unbelievable.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's start with this young man here. And who is he? Does anybody know who this is?
Mike Romanoli.
No. This is Maddox Jarzynski from Trinity. How about this game, guys? 6 receptions for 118 yards, 3 touchdown receptions. Also returned a block punt for a 4th touchdown in his team's 35-7 win over Schuylkill Valley. That's a player of the week game.
Impressive,
Okay.
absolutely.
That's what we're looking for, Coach Chapman.
That's an impressive last name. I think he played for Ampipe on All the Right Moves.
Jarzynski. Yeah, I like it. So we're going to get a oh gosh, what did I do wrong there? We're going to get a t-shirt over, a Payer Apparel t-shirt. Larry Bragg, of course, provides those for us, and they're really nice. They look like the image here to the right of Maddox's picture there. They're gray with the kind of steel high colors, not by design, but so anyway. And how about this one? This one's kind of opposite. Now, these numbers aren't gaudy. This is a football player game, though, right here, guys. This is what you have to kind of do to grind it out and win a big game. Anybody know who that is? We talked about him earlier.
Yeah, quarterback for Central Dauphin.
Well, that's the Wildcat.
He's
Running
the,
back
he's
and
the
linebacker.
Wildcat, yeah.
Hodgson.
Yeah. Isaac Hodgson.
Great kid.
And look at this game. I mean, this is just a football game. 18 carries for 82 yards, not gaudy, of course. 10 tackles, 1 for loss. Game-winning touchdown run with 3 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. His team 7-6 win over Cumberland Valley. That's just a grinder game. You know what I mean? Both sides of the ball. And so congratulations to Isaac Hodges and his Rams team. We'll get a T-shirt out to Isaac. And I would once again I would encourage everyone who did not see that. It's just a 2-yard touchdown run, but if you want to see a nice run, did you see it?
That was at the game. I was saying it's Hodgson. Yeah.
Hodgson. What did I say? Hodges. Okay, yeah, Hodgson. Oh, so you were right there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The ball just got on the line. Now, had
It was close.
Yeah, very close. But I saw it hit the line, but I was standing right in that end zone. But had he not gotten in, Central Dauphin had 1 timeout left and would have had another crack from the inch line. Not saying they would have gotten in or not, but that they would have been able to So that wasn't the last play of the game. In other words,
It's invaluable. You're a coach that saved those timeouts, huh?
how about it?
So what goes on? Let me ask you, as a coach, you still have 3 seconds. You're playing at your big rival. What are you telling your kickoff team? Like, that's
Well, they squibbed it, and they actually got the squib kick. Believe it or not.
Oh, they recovered.
Central Dauphin
covered.
But let's go back, and I'm not faulting Cumberland Valley here at all because there's no right or wrong answer. I'm standing there in the end zone thinking, if I'm Cumberland Valley, would I call timeout? Because I'm saying, if I'm Cumberland Valley and we have a few left, do I want to call timeout? Even though Central Dauphin, in case Central Dauphin scores a touchdown, we'll have around 30 seconds left.
We know what they did to Central Dauphin last year.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes. And if I'm Central Dauphin, I'm thinking, do we want a timeout on that drive that the ball was inbounds and the clock was running around the 25-ish yard line, and they didn't take one, and that's put the clock down even,
right,
pretty daggone far.
Right.
But there's the good thing what Central Dauphin did, their quarterback, who was like a running back, Lebo, got out of bounds after a big run, knew enough to get out of bounds.
Right.
Sprinted right along Cumberland Valley sidelines, hit it out, and number 5 got out of bounds, got a lot of yards out of bounds. Those couple times stopped the clock enough that Central Dauphin wasn't out of timeouts there at the end, had they needed one.
Right.
Yes.
Do you have Lebo in class?
I had him in class when he was a sophomore.
What kind of kid is he?
Good kid.
Yeah, that's
really
what I hear.
Good kid.
I'm impressed with him as a football player.
Yeah.
Again,
Hodgson, Saul the Earth kid. He gives everything he has on the football field. Got hurt on that touchdown run.
He did. He was limping pretty much.
Yeah.
It was a shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get T-shirts out to Maddox and Isaac. And let me just roll through here and just thank everybody once again. We really appreciate the viewers. Gary Smoke Jones, my buddy, we just talked, I think, yesterday on the phone for a while. Kirby Lentz, Lindley Sheeler, Ron Wiley, Anthony Andrioli, Jeff DeVos, Jordan Smith, Melvin Britton Sr. Thanks to all you men and women. Dontrell Mitchell, Harrisburg winning District 3 for the 5th year in a row. Yeah, we could see that happening, Dontrell.
And it's not, and it's never happened.
Yeah.
At the top level.
Yeah.
Anaheim Central, some other teams, obviously, but it's never happened at the top classification. Cumberland Valley won 4, and that was the 91, 92, 93, and 94.
I said, I think maybe the first week of the season on this show that Harrisburg's season would start in the state semifinals against Pitt Central Catholic. And I got to watch saying stuff like that because there's good teams that they have to go up against and beat. But so anyway, thanks, guys, again. Great show. Thanks to Coach Ford Chapman for sitting in with us.
Thank you.
Coach Glen McNamee from Central Dauphin, always available for Linglestown Gazette Sports, and we wish him and his guys well this Saturday at Severance Field. Anybody have any closing thoughts? All right.
Nope.
And I'm not going to go through them all again, but if you need tires or beer or wings or
if you want to get a Ford Bronco,
or a Bronco,
head over to Hoffman Ford. You'll like it.
You need a you got one, right? Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of really good companies there. So thanks, fellas. We're going to shut this down. We got one more comment. Let's see here. Good show, says Jeff DeVos. Jeff, thank you. We really appreciate it. And then we'll see everybody next week. I'm sure we'll be texting throughout the week.